You're listening to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, created to help you succeed in your IT Fundamentals certification journey. Learn more at baremetalcyber.com, where additional prepcasts, books, and training materials await. Let's get started. In this episode, we explore the final step in the structured troubleshooting methodology, documenting the process and learning from each support interaction. Documentation is more than record-keeping. It provides a detailed history of what went wrong, what was tried, what worked, and what the long-term effects were. This episode emphasizes how proper documentation improves efficiency, helps other technicians, and supports continuous learning. It also lays the foundation for building a smarter, more consistent IT support environment. This phase completes the CompTIA troubleshooting model and appears in Domain 1 of the ITF Plus exam. You may see questions that ask what to do after a problem is resolved, or how to summarize steps for a case handoff. Other questions might test your ability to identify missing information in a support ticket. In both real-world IT work and exam scenarios, documenting and reflecting on the process is a critical part of delivering professional support. Step 7 in the troubleshooting process is to document the findings, actions taken, and the outcome. This includes recording the original symptoms, the suspected and confirmed causes, any fixes attempted, whether successful or not, and what was ultimately done to resolve the problem. It's also important to include any follow-up instructions, remaining issues, or system settings that were changed. This ensures a complete and accurate record of the support case. Documentation serves several important purposes in IT. It helps other technicians understand what was done and why, especially when multiple people are involved or when a case is transferred. It also creates a history of system behavior, which is useful for future troubleshooting. Documentation supports internal audits, security reviews, and compliance checks, especially in industries with regulatory requirements. And it reinforces the idea that IT is a process-oriented profession, not a guessing game. Effective documentation includes clear problem descriptions, exact error messages, timestamps, and the full timeline of events. It specifies what tools or commands were used, what settings were changed, and what the results were. If testing was performed, the results should be included, whether they confirmed or disproved the initial theory. Detailed notes allow anyone reviewing the case to understand exactly what happened, even weeks or months later. Most professional environments use ticketing or help desk systems to manage documentation. These platforms provide a centralized way to log issues, track status, and organize support efforts. They also allow multiple team members to collaborate on a case while preserving accountability and communication. Common platforms include ServiceNow, Spiceworks, and Freshdesk, but even small teams benefit from structured logging using spreadsheets or shared notes. A typical support ticket should include a short issue summary, the name and contact details of the user, the device or system involved, and a record of all troubleshooting steps. It should end with resolution notes, verification steps, and closure status. Many systems also include fields for priority, ticket number, assigned technician, and escalation path. Whether manual or automated, a complete ticket tells the story of the problem and provides value for future reference. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. In some cases, documentation needs to be escalated or shared with others. If the issue required input from a Tier 2 technician, an administrator, or a vendor, the documentation should include that transition. This means recording the contact person, time of escalation, support ticket number, or reference ID. Escalation documentation ensures continuity, prevents duplicate effort, and helps others avoid restarting the process from scratch. Reviewing past tickets helps identify patterns that may indicate recurring issues. If the same printer error appears every month, or the same login problem occurs across departments, documentation can reveal these trends, This insight helps IT teams justify system upgrades, changes in policy, or additional training. It also gives support managers real data to use when communicating with stakeholders about system needs or process improvements. Documentation can also be used to train new staff. Sharing previous tickets, especially complex or unusual ones, helps junior technicians learn how to diagnose, solve, and record similar problems. It builds institutional knowledge and avoids repeating mistakes. When teams turn documentation into searchable knowledge bases or quick reference guides, they create a stronger, faster, and more consistent support environment that benefits everyone. Preventative measures should also be linked to the documentation. If an update, patch, or reconfiguration was applied to prevent future problems, it should be included in the notes. Any lessons learned that apply to system design, usage patterns, or configuration best practices should also be recorded. This ensures that small, one-time fixes can have lasting positive effects and reduce repeat support tickets. Closing the feedback loop is a vital part of professional support. After resolving an issue and confirming functionality, technicians should inform the user of the outcome. This communication might include a simple message stating the fix was applied, a summary of what was done, and a check to ensure the user is satisfied. Confirming that the issue is truly resolved from the user's perspective prevents confusion, builds trust, and adds polish to the support process. It also opens the door to uncover any lingering concerns. Establishing a habit of reflecting on lessons learned is one of the best ways to grow as a technician. After resolving a case, take a moment to consider what worked well and what could be improved. Could the issue have been diagnosed faster? Was any step skipped or repeated unnecessarily? Were tools or documentation missing? This short reflection helps build experience and leads to better decision-making the next time a similar problem occurs. Process improvement often emerges from these lessons. A technician might realize that an outdated checklist caused delays, or that a recurring issue could be solved by adding a script or automation. These small insights should lead to updates in internal documentation, toolkits, or workflow procedures. When improvements are shared with the wider team, they elevate overall support quality and make future troubleshooting faster and more consistent. Once a problem has been resolved and documented, consider creating reusable reference material. This could take the form of a how-to guide, a step-by-step walkthrough, or a template that applies to common issues. Organize these resources by category, such as printer errors, network connectivity, or account access, and make them searchable. Over time, this collection becomes a valuable knowledge base that improves onboarding, reduces resolution time, and boosts team confidence. Well-documented troubleshooting also supports effective escalation. When an issue must be passed to a higher tier or to a vendor, clear records show what steps were already taken. This prevents duplicated effort and speeds up the escalation process. Escalation notes should include who was contacted, when, what was discussed, and any ticket or reference numbers provided. Organized, complete records improve communication and foster respect between support tiers. Many tools are available to support documentation in a structured way. As mentioned earlier, ticketing systems like ServiceNow, Freshdesk, or Spiceworks allow detailed logging of every case. Internal wikis or shared folders can store troubleshooting guides, escalation paths, and checklists. Standardized documentation formats, such as templates or pre-filled ticket fields, encourage consistency and reduce errors. When teams follow shared conventions, collaboration becomes smoother and case histories become more useful. Despite its importance, documentation is often overlooked or poorly executed. Common mistakes include writing vague descriptions, such as fixed printer issue, without explaining what was actually done. Technicians may forget to include failed tests, which prevents others from understanding why a fix didn't work. Some fail to record the user's feedback, final status, or what follow-up, if any, was discussed. These omissions reduce the value of the record and may lead to repeated problems or miscommunication. Strong documentation is a sign of technical maturity. It reflects a technician's attention to detail, respect for the process, and commitment to professionalism. Well-kept records support audits, security reviews, and post-incident reports. They also help the technician remember what worked the last time a similar problem occurred. Whether working in a small business or a large enterprise, consistent documentation builds credibility with both users and management. The ITF Plus exam may include questions related to documentation and closure. You might be asked what the final step is in a troubleshooting scenario, or be given a case with missing documentation and asked what should be added. You could also see a question that requires selecting the best communication step after a fix is verified. In each case, the focus will be on completeness, process flow, and clarity of professional communication. The documentation phase also reinforces structured thinking. It prompts the technician to revisit the full troubleshooting cycle: what led to the issue, what was tried, what succeeded, and how the outcome was verified. This act of reviewing and recording makes the knowledge more permanent and easier to share. It also encourages better decision-making in future cases by drawing on what was learned. Documentation becomes even more valuable when shared across the team. When support teams regularly update and review internal knowledge bases, they collectively improve their speed and accuracy. Teams that prioritize this practice tend to experience fewer recurring issues, shorter resolution times, and smoother onboarding of new staff. Over time, even small efforts in documentation can lead to a major impact on the effectiveness of IT operations. In the final phase of troubleshooting, the technician's responsibility shifts from immediate resolution to long-term support readiness. By recording the process, communicating with users, updating reference materials, and reflecting on lessons learned, the technician helps turn each incident into a teaching moment. This culture of learning supports not only the team, but also the broader organization's ability to respond to future challenges more effectively. To summarize, the final step of the troubleshooting process involves documenting findings, learning from the case, and preparing for future improvements. Good documentation captures what happened, how it was solved, and what can be done to prevent recurrence. It strengthens communication, supports team collaboration, and builds long-term technical confidence. For both the ITF Plus exam and real-world practice, this final step transforms troubleshooting from a reactive task into a continuous improvement process. Thanks for tuning in to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, your trusted source for cybersecurity news and insights. Remember to subscribe at baremetalcyber.com so you never miss an update. And visit cyberauthor.me for best-selling cybersecurity books that equip you with expert knowledge. Until next time, stay secure and stay vigilant.